and we did receive bids today, but I'm gonna turn it over to Greg Davenport. Greg?
Thank you, Mayor. Can y'all hear me fine?
Yeah,
Okay.
push the button though.
Do I need to push the
Yes,
button?
you do. Thank you.
Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay. I guess I've pushed quit talking too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for convening this Wednesday afternoon. I know you all are all busy and have things to do. Curtis and I discussed this. It's a fairly important and timely matter, and we thought it was worth getting together to discuss. We took bids today on the raw water intake improvements, which consisted of a new pump at the raw water intake and installation of the valves that you purchased last year, one of which was shipped Tuesday. So the situation at the intake, as we discussed in our previous Zoom calls, we had an estimate for this project for $400,000. Part of that was to replace the pump, part was to replace the valves, which you purchased directly. Since that time, we thought we had some minor improvements that needed to be done at the traveling water screen, which is the automatic screen that removes leaves and sticks from the raw water before we pump Cumberland River water to town. We had a vendor go up and look at it that actually manufactured and supplied the screen, and he said, it's basically worn out. I don't want to give you a quote to repair it, you need to replace it. So we added that into the scope of the project, well knowing that bids would exceed the $400,000 estimate we had. So we advertised like we normally do to FW Dodge and the other plant holder houses that we do all of Livingston's project and all the projects that we bid for all of our clients across Tennessee and Kentucky. And I recognized that this was a little bit different of a project. I mean, it's heavy on equipment. There's not a lot of labor cost in it. And it's not a huge project, so I was concerned about not getting a certain amount of bidders. I called W&O and I said, I really need you to turn a bid in for this. I said, here's what's going on. Here's how we can make the pressure more amenable to regular work. We reached out to John Bouchard, who has performed work for Livingston in the past. I talked to Wascon. We had one bidder that checked out plans named Reynolds. And so I knew the most we could do was 3. Well, the end result is we got 1, and it was W&O. And the total bid, including the traveling water screen, which we figured was about $300,000, which would jack your cost up to $700,000, was $751,800. Now, we can't afford to do all that work with the budget you have right now. So what I proposed is that we deduct the screen, which was $275,000, and we deduct an allowance I had in there for miscellaneous items, which Jack and I decided we could do some of that using in-house forces. So if we deduct about $300,000 from the contract, it ends up being $451,800, and you had $400,000 in the budget for it. Now, I would have loved to have gotten more bidders, but it's just the way it happened this time. Sometimes, you know, on these unique projects, you only have one interested party, and it's certainly better than not getting a bidder. So I'm gonna recommend you move forward at $451,800 with W&O. I would like to hold the screen kind of in queue. If we are successful, if Livingston is successful in obtaining some American Rescue Plan funding, it's possible that funding, it was initially talked about that funding could be $1 million coming from the federal government, either direct to Livingston or through the state of Tennessee. I was at the Water Professionals Conference in Chattanooga Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, And I was told that TDEC had $1.2 billion in funding that is going to be, the purpose of it is to match what you already were allotted. So if we're successful in obtaining $2 million for Livingston, we can put the screen back in by change order. I've talked to W&O, they're fine doing that. Now, what we're being told is that money can be spent on water, wastewater, broadband, or reimbursement for COVID expenses, which you've got to have accurate records for that. None of the money's been released, as far as I know, and we don't know when it's going to be released. We're here in October, November. We've also been told that you can't get reimbursed for things. So if you move down the path of doing something in anticipation of getting that money, you may not be able to use it for that purpose. So our advice to you tonight is to award this contract to W&O Construction at $451,800, and to sit tight on the travel and water screen, and to sit tight on the meter project with the acoustical sensors in it. And if the money comes through and we can use it for those purposes, we would recommend you move down that path, or you can evaluate all the options of what it can be used for and make that decision. That's your decision, not mine. So I recommend you move forward with W&O Construction. We are working with W&O to get the valves replaced now. The second valve should be here imminently. Unfortunately, in today's environment, you can't get any parts quickly. And the pump is scheduled for 28 weeks of manufacturing from the time the submittals are approved. And we probably won't have approved submittals for 45 days. So we're looking at 8 to 9 months down the road before the pump gets installed. I'm open to questions. If you've got any questions about what transpired today or what we've got moving in the future.
Well, this screen that's faulty now, that sending stuff that's gonna tear up these pumps, worse than we are right now.
Jack, you may have to step in on this, but Chris, the screen is functional now. It's not really that I'm concerned about that it's gonna let stuff through, it's that there's just imminent failure of parts of it that you'll have to rig or get fixed as you move along. So I'm not probably worried about the next 8 months of it making it. I'm just worried about if we don't do something with it now and we wait 2, 3, or 4 years, you could have a failure between now and then.
Is that, if and when that time comes to do the screen, is that another 8 or 9 months from the time it's agreed?
Yes, Ken, it would be, if we change ordered it in, it's likely, now I don't have direct information from the manufacturer on that, but it's likely that it would be 8 to 9 months from the moment you told W&O we want to do the screen. So I'd love to just do it all right now, but I don't think it would be the financially prudent thing to do right now.
Greg, was the screen an alternate? Was it submitted as an alternate?
Yes, sir. We had the screen as a deductive alternate from the contract, so we could immediately.
It just doesn't show on the sheet.
It does, and that just shows a little bit, but there were 4 pay items. Item 1 was furnish and install the pump at $426,800. Item 2 was remove and replace owner furnace valves at $25,000. Item 3 was the travel and water screen at $275,000. And item 4 was a $25,000 allowance I had in there in case we found some minor valves or things of that need to be replaced. And then deductive alternate number 1 was deducting item number 3 at $275,000.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I make the motion that we accept the bid as you recommended.
Motion made by Alderman Kelly Coleman. Is there
Second.
second by Alderman Clough? And to talk about that just a little bit, the 451,000, is that what you said?
$451,800.
So we budgeted $400,000 for that, but I went back in the water department and we've got the $51,000 to complete the rest of the project, so I just wanted to advise you of that. So we've got a motion, by Alderman Coleman, second, by Alderman Clough. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Phillips.
Alderman Clough,
Yes.
Alderman Coleman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dodson,
Yes.
Alderman Dale,
Yes.
Alderman Speck.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passed. Any other business, Mr. Davenport?
No, Mayor, thank you very much, and once again, I appreciate y'all coming out to take care of this important matter. We'll move forward immediately.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn. Motion made by Ken Dodson, second by Alderman Coleman. All for the motion, let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Adjourn. Yeah, hey Greg, come talk to Chris. He's got a question about what we do have in store.